Hello everyone, it's Paola and this is my March wrap-up. I think I'm back doing monthly wrap-ups. I don't know, could be wrong. But there are two main reasons. One that I don't want to talk about, but two is that because I was talking about 8 books on average every 2 months, I realized that I rambled nonstop and that it ends with the videos being ridiculously long, painful to edit, and also painfully long after I edit them. And I don't love that. So I want to give that a try, and I think cutting from wrapping up 2 months to one is a great place to start. In the month of March, I ended up surprisingly reading 5 books. I say surprisingly because the first 2 weeks of March were very, very, very stressful. I couldn't focus on reading anything. So yeah, I'm pretty proud of myself for ending up with 5 books to wrap up. Let's get started. The first 4 books that I want to talk about, I'm going to talk about them in bulk because they're part of a series, and it's a series that I was dying to finish, and I am super glad that I actually finished it. It is The Lion Game by Sarah Shepard, and in March I ended up reading books 3, 4, 5, and 6. The third book is Two Truths and a Lie. The fourth book is Hide and Seek. The fifth one is Cross My Heart, Hope to Die. And the sixth one is 7 Minutes in Heaven. The Lion Game series is about a girl called Emma who has been living in Nevada. She is a foster kid. She has been having a really, really tough life. One day when her foster brother shows her a video of a girl who looks exactly like her, tied up to a chair. I think she's blindfolded. But she's being choked to death, seemingly, and she realizes that she might have a twin. So she goes deep in the interwebs and she finds that she has a twin sister called Sutton. She gets in contact with her, and Sutton asks her to come to Tucson, which is where she lives in Arizona, so they can meet. However, when Emma arrives to Tucson, after waiting for Sutton for a while, she gets a note saying that Sutton is dead and that she needs to play along. Emma obviously doesn't want to play along because someone's dead, and it's not just anyone, it's her twin sister. So she goes to the police, and she also tells that to her parents, but they don't believe her because Sutton had this reputation as a prankster. Nobody believes her. They think it's all part of a prank. And she later on, I think, gets another note saying that if she tries to do that ever again, something bad's gonna happen. And so she's playing along, but she's also trying to solve the murder. She wants to know who murdered her sister, and it all goes on from there. So the first 3 books were very, very, very interesting, especially the first 2, because in the third one I started having a lot of problems with the language that was used, but whatever. The first 3 books were very, very interesting in that we didn't know anyone, and Emma was busy digging to find out why they were friends, the relationship that Emma had with each of them. But then in the 4th, the 5th, and the 6th book, things started to fall apart. One, because you already know how the book works. I was like, oh, she's not trying anymore. And by she, I mean the author. She's not trying anymore to hide it. Like, it's obvious. So yeah, that got pretty tedious. However, despite the formula getting tired, the books were never boring. I don't know how to explain it. I think it's due to the subplots that the book ended up being interesting. I don't know. Sutton's parents suck. Not only did they raise a very spoiled child, they also never made sure to make her feel loved, because of the way that this blood daughter and adoptive daughter thing comes up in the book. From the 3rd to the 6th book, it is constantly talked about how Sutton felt less loved because she was only adopted as opposed to Laurel because she is the biological daughter. There are a lot of little comments about how Laurel and Sutton are not really sisters. Like, no. Like, I feel like that's a fucked up thing to say. And it just made me incredibly uncomfortable, especially because it was brought up very often through all of the books. Unfortunately, we have Sutton. She's a spoiled kid and she's a bully, and I hated that there were parts of the book where she got to talk from her own point of view. The books are narrated mostly in third-person narrator, focusing on Emma. But time and time again, she gives a commentary. And I don't like that because, one, it takes me out of the story so badly, but also because I feel it deep in my soul that the author was trying to add Sutton's point of view to get us to empathize with her, but it only ended up with me hating Sutton even more. Not to the point where I thought that she deserved to die, but to the point where I was like, shut up, I don't want to hear about it. You were a bad friend, bad sister, bad daughter, bad student, bad girlfriend, bad person. We have flashbacks in the story, and I hate them. I hate them with a passion because first it was very interesting to see that, Sutton was indeed a bitch, but also because we got to discover things that Emma was never going to discover. I want to mention the ableism because, oh my god, it is present from the third book, because one of the suspects is presumed to be the killer, and not just because they were going to the psychiatrist or anything, but because of the relationship that they had with Sutton. But the language that is used whenever we talk about not her relationship with Sutton, but about their time with the psychiatrist, it's always like, oh, they could be a monster, they could be dangerous, they could be insane, they could have gone off-hinged, and I don't know, it made me uncomfortable and it made me cringe every single time. And it's the same thing for the suspects in books 5 and 6. I had a very big problem with the language that was used. Holy hell, please stop saying the word crazy when you're describing someone with a mental illness. For the love of God, please stop it already. Use other adjectives. I found a very interesting article about it. I will leave a link down below. Other than that, I thought, personally, that the reveal was a tad boring. When it was revealed that it was in fact them, the person that I thought was a criminal mastermind, I felt that it was revealed in such a weak and cop-out way, to the point that when Emma asked them, oh, so it's about this, right? You're mad about this because this is what absolutely made you want to kill Sutton. They go like, no, that happened years ago, I don't care anymore. And it's like, well, then why did they bring it up in the first place? And by they, I mean the author. So yeah, I feel very middle of the road with this book series. I would say that I recommend it to people who are just getting started with mystery thrillers, because one, it is YA, and two, it's very easy to read. So if you can commit to a 6-book series that gets just the tiniest bit tedious but never absolutely boring, give it a shot. Unfortunately, the 5th book that I read was a graphic novel called Habla Maria by Bernardo Fernandez. I got this one from my professors at my master's degree, and it says right here, una novela gráfica sobre el autismo, a graphic novel about autism. It's not. It's not about autism. It's about the parent, this one, Beth, the author, the parent of a kid with autism, an autistic kid. And yeah, I tabbed it with things that bothered me. I'm gonna read it, and that's gonna be the review of the book, because I hated this with a passion and I have no interest in making my thoughts cohesive. It was impossible to ignore the disparity in the development of both girls, both meaning Maria and her cousin, especially in the verbal area. Since she was a little girl, Andrea's spirit animal was a parrot. This has absolutely nothing to do with autism, but I hate it. Stop using spirit animal, just for the love of God. Quit it. Next note. Since that day, we have served Maria, hoping for the best but expecting the worst. The worst. That's what it was. The worst being that she was diagnosed with autism, which, like, yikes. The next note that I have, and if in autism the perception is as intense as they say, the world must be an interminable bombarding of stimulus that go out of control and can drive her insane. And look at the drawing. Nevertheless, I lament to confirm it. Your daughter has autism. Look at that. And the only way to treat it is with therapy. I'm very sorry. So I think that this is where the real problem starts with diagnosis. The doctors give very, very fatalistic, pessimistic views. And I think that's why parents are so bad when it comes to their language and when it comes to writing these fucking books. Let's continue. Since 1997, I am punk straight edge, which means I don't do drugs, I don't drink alcohol, don't consume tobacco or coffee. I consider them to be massive controlled substances. Otherwise, I would have tried to drown my sorrows in whiskey, or I would have snorted a bunch of coke. It wasn't like that. And if it wasn't because I was an atheist since I was 12 years old, I imagine I would have been praying. I would have asked God, why my daughter? Instead, I thought that it was a confirmation of my atheism. What cruel God would do this to my baby? Why? Why is it the worst thing that could happen to have an autistic kid? I don't understand it. Let's move on. We received a call like this one from an aunt. Hello? Hey Beth, it's Regina. Oh, how are you? We know a priest who has the gift of curing. A priest? Yes, a priest. He says he can cure autism. Okay. I hate everything about this book. This is a scene where they are supposed to be at an autism center, like a therapy center for autistic kids. Anyway, the dad says, it was very impressive for me because the place was filled with kids that had very severe cases, much more severe than our daughters. Anyway, at the same time, I couldn't stop admiring the peculiar beauty of kids with autism. What? It's different. They're not the same as kids who are neurotypical, but they're not there for you to admire the peculiar beauty. Then we have another little note, and it says, in that moment, I knew that there was no physical or intellectual disability that stops the love of parents for their daughter. Congratulations on loving your kid. That's it. That's it for the notes. Hated that book. Terrible. Parents of kids with disabilities should not be allowed to write books about their kids. It's just completely, I feel like it's completely unethical and very, very invasive. come to the realization, this very sad realization, that I didn't really love anything I read in March. And I kind of hate that, but I kind of don't. So yeah, let me know in the comments below if you've heard any of the books that I just talked about. What was your favorite book that you read in the month of March? And if you haven't already and you'd like to, go ahead and hit subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!